Some businesses succeed, some don't. Then there are those that seem to have been around forever. The true entrepreneurial success story. How did they do it? What was their vision? What makes a success? In this special episode for Eye on Annapolis, we speak with the true success stories, those business owners that have been around for decades, learn from their successes and failures. Now, here's host John Fernay.
We're up here in Arnold again. I've been in Arnold a lot lately. I was up at the Lisa's Cake Pops and also Mother's Peninsula Grill a little bit, but we're with Zeskind's Door, Window, and Millwork showroom, which is at 1450 Ritchie Highway, which is in the Arnold Station Shopping Center North. And they just opened up recently, and I thought, hey, this is a new company. I wanted to see what it was all about. And then I realized that I was wrong, and this is almost 100 years old, and we're joined by Rick Miller, who is the, what is your title here at Zeskind's?
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. Owner and president. I guess that's the official one, but that's, yeah.
So you're the guy that takes out the trash at the end of the night?
Exactly, yeah, that's it. All the hats.
And writes the check for the rent at the beginning of the month. And exactly. When things go wrong, they point the finger at you.
Exactly.
We've been talking before we started recording, but way back when I used to own several travel agencies, and we're actually in this space that one of my travel agencies occupied back in the 90s. And it's kind of neat to come in and see how you've really changed things up here. I was absolutely shocked when we met back down at the Market House a couple months ago for the premiere of the Annapolis Film Festival that you guys have been around for 100 years, but obviously not here in Arnold. This building isn't 100 years old.
No,
but,
right, that's right.
But what is Zeskind's, and where did you guys get your start? And you're not 100.
Sure. I'm not 100 years old. I feel 100 years old some days, but no. So Zeskind's got its start back in 1925. My great-grandfather took over a store that had already existed. It was already an existing hardware store that operated since before 1900. So the building itself and the store are even older than our company. So that was Sam Zeskind, who changed it to Zeskind's Hardware. He ran that all the way up until about 1973. That's when my mom and dad purchased Zeskind's from him. It did kind of skip a generation there. My grandmother, Miriam, who was Sam's daughter, and her husband, Irvin, they started their own hardware store in Woodlawn.
Family competition.
Yeah, exactly. or just trying to keep the business, consistent throughout the family. But so when they opened that in Woodlawn, it was right after World War II when Irvin had got back from the war. And my dad helped out there when he was a little kid, and unfortunately, my grandfather passed away when my dad was still pretty young, maybe around 10 or so.
Right.
So then my dad spent a lot of time at Zeskind's with his grandfather, Sam, all the way from back in the early 60s all the way up through 73. So he really knew the store well when he had met my mom, and when they were about 19, got married, and they took it over. It was only making something like $50 a week at that point in sales. It was and that was in the 70s. Sam was probably in his 80s or so. So he was getting up there, and my parents saw it as a great opportunity. My dad knew exactly how to run it, and from there in 73, my parents took it and really grew it from just that $50 a week or so, all the way up until I got involved full time in 2008. That's when I, if you will, quit my day job and actually went in full time and started working with the company. But I grew up all through the late 80s and all through the 90s and early 2000s, working there on weekends, working there in the summer in between high school and college. And that was, I learned the same way my dad did, how to repair screens, repair windows, cut glass, stock the shelves, learning all about the business.
All right, well, as I look around here, the showroom in Arnold, which is absolutely beautiful, but this is not Doesn't look like a hardware store to me.
Yeah, I know. That's so those were our roots. Our roots were hardware store. We're the hardware store. It was home improvement. It was helping people. The idea of the retail store up in Baltimore was you walk up to a counter and you talk to someone and they help go and get what you need for you.
Imagine how antiquated that is.
I know. But, well, it's what's needed. Everybody needs that now. Everyone wants to talk to somebody and they get frustrated when they can't, like when you go to a big box store and you can't find somebody. But when you came to our place, you'd walk up to that counter and you'd talk to somebody and they'd help you out and make sure you got exactly what you needed and send you on your way. And the great thing about it was people were in and out within less than 5 minutes, typically, even with a line going. And there's often a line at the store up there. But when my parents, again, I can't say enough about them. They're incredible people. They taught me everything I know. And one of the things was they said, you have to go to college. That was back I graduated high school around 97, and I grew up here in Severna Park, and went to Severna Park High School, and just that was the next step. I had to go to college. So
where'd you go to college?
I started out at Clemson, and then I was started out in construction science and management because I've always been interested in the building product field. But then I made the decision. I didn't want to be confined by that industry, even though it is where I ended up. So I actually switched to go to Salisbury here and finished up in Salisbury with a degree in finance. And the finance degree, actually, I think that was the better way to go to help me understand how to better run this business. And it wasn't my plan to come into Zeskind's the whole time, but it having that background in finance is really critical for where I am now. It's incredibly helpful. So
I'm sure.
So yeah, after college, I ended up working for a home builder in the construction field down in residential construction down in Calvert County. It was Kane Homes at that time. And actually, it was Kane Communities. They changed it to Kane Homes. Mm-hmm. After that, I was approached by my current general manager who worked at Sinclair Supply here in Annapolis to do an inside sales position for them. And I was interested. I'd spent some time in the fields, and I wanted to spend some time in the supply side of things, and that's what I did. I went and worked for Sinclair Supply, which very quickly was purchased by Allied Building Products, which is a big national chain. At that time, a couple people had left during that transition. I decided to make a move over to Lamar and Wallace, which is another company down just inside the 495 Beltway outside of DC. That company is very similar to what Zeskind's does today. They're a wholesale building products distributor. They also hang their own interior and exterior doors. And so kind of worked there for 4 or 5 years, gained a lot of experience there, understanding the residential manufacturing of like interior doors, exterior doors, windows, trim, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then after that, I was approached by a New Zealand company called Fletcher Wood Solutions. They are based in New Zealand, but they sell most of their product to the United States into Lowe's and Home Depot. They have a special industry down there of clear pine moldings. So clear pine is when it's managed forests. It's plantation grown pine trees, usually a radiata pine, and they maintain the trees in a way that they cut the limbs off. So when you have clear molding, you don't have the knots all through it. And so that they had millions of acres of those trees that they managed, and sawmills, so they were just cranking out hundreds of containers of product each month coming over to the U.S. And I got to work on a lot of these big volume projects coming over, going into retail stores and all the different distributors. And I did that for several years, and there was a lot of travel involved. I loved it, but it was pretty stressful, and I started thinking. I met my wife Joni, and we got married, and then I'm starting to think, well, do I really want to be traveling all this time as I grow a family? And I said, and we were looking at Zeskind's, and I was like, do I want to let my family's hardware store, go by the wayside? And I was like, how can I make sure I can extend Zeskind's life another generation and give my kids the opportunity to take it over. And what I came up with was keep the hardware store, keep the retail store like it is, and let's grow. Let's use those customers that are coming in there to introduce them to some wholesale building products, because we did get a lot of contractors coming in who needed doors and windows. They're already walking through our door. Why not expand into what I know best, which is moldings, windows, doors, trim.
Okay. So is your place in Baltimore still a basic hardware store?
It is.
Too?
It is. It's the exact same hardware store that it was back in 1925.
So I can go buy a wing nut and a nail.
Exactly. You can do. You walk right up to the counter. You tell them what you want.
I don't need to wander the aisles for.
Believe it or not, there are no aisles. It's a corner row home, and you walk in, and there's rolling ladders and floor to ceiling wooden shelves, and
I need to get up there and check that out. That sounds like a fantastic place.
Yeah, it's cool. It's unfortunately one of the only ones left. There used to be 3 or 4 different hardware stores just in our little part of South Baltimore, and
Well, that was America.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, it's just unfortunately it's not anymore. I know that the hardware stores, at least down in here, I know Stevens went out of business, which was downtown Annapolis, and they, it just was not supported. So, and certainly the big box stores didn't help it either.
Right. Yeah.
But down here in Arnold, I mean, you're a showroom. You're not a hardware store. I'm not going to be able to walk out with my wing nuts.
Exactly.
And doors and windows. Okay, I understand that. I see a whole bunch of handsets and locks, which obviously go with the doors and windows. But
absolutely.
What is millwork considered? Is that?
So yeah, millwork is a term that kind of confuses some people because. I mean, technically, it's anything that comes out of a mill, right? It doesn't have to be wood at that point, but in a wood context, when you think of a millwork, it's all of the value added products that are coming out of some kind of a production facility. So, yes, there are lumber mills that run lumber, and that's all they do. There's molding mills that do just molding. There's mills that produce parts and build cabinetry, and there's mills that run parts for windows and assemble windows. So it's kind of it's just an overarching term for all of the value-added products that's, in our context, it's something other than just a chunk of wood. It's something that needed to be assembled or
to complete
there's more things that went into that product than just running it through a saw. So
in the sense, I mean, are you selling? You mentioned molding. Okay,
mm-hmm.
If I'm looking for crown molding,
mm-hmm.
Are you a source for that?
Absolutely. We have.
Okay.
Well, we have every type of option you could imagine. There really are no limits with us. If it's something you can draw on paper, we can do it in our custom shop. We do arched transoms. We duplicate historic materials. We run if somebody brings a piece of molding into our one of our salespeople and they say, I need this exact molding, we'll look through and see if there's something like that on the market that we can just pull off of a shelf. If not, we'll cut knives for it and we'll run that molding so it's duplicated, so it's exactly matching that historic tax credit renovation, for instance.
Right.
When I came in 2008, I immediately identified that there was a hole in the market where it came to someone specializing in providing products for historic renovations. In Baltimore City, CHAP, which is the Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation, was offering tax credits to people who would purchase a rundown row home and fix it up. You had to put a minimum of a certain percentage of the value of the home into it, which usually meant a full gut renovation. It wasn't ever just the windows or just a door.
Right.
It was a big chunk of the current assessed value, and then people would purchase the house. Some people would flip them. Some people would live in them. But you would get a major tax credit for 10 years that started out. It was kind of a sliding scale tax credit, but you would get a huge chunk off your property taxes, which in Baltimore City is incredible because for a little tiny row home up there, you could pay $3,000 or $4,000 in property tax every 6 months or every year. I mean, it depends on square footage, and where you were located. But property taxes are so expensive up there that it made a significant impact on somebody's monthly payment, like for the house that they're buying. So it was a really cool program. It's still well in swing today. It's got more and more stringent over the years, and the regulations on what you have to replace and how you have to do it is still very important. But the thing that we latched onto immediately was the windows and doors, which we became the go-to place, the specialists in understanding what was needed to meet the CHAP requirements. And there was a lack. Nobody else was doing that, and we kind of...
There's something to be said for the expertise, and I think we've really lost a lot of that in the whole internet age. And again, as you said, there's somebody that's like, okay, well, I've done 100 of these. I know exactly what you need to do. Yeah, we can probably 3D print that molding and come out with some kind of a fiberglass, but I know that Preservation Commission won't accept that.
Exactly.
So we do need to get a craftsman or to actually saw the maybe a hunk of meat, whatever the detail
exactly
is.
Duplicate it. Yeah, exactly.
To figure it out. And there's nothing that can replace that. Which is and you've got almost 100 years worth of experience and knowledge in that.
Absolutely.
Well, who's your customer here in Arnold? I mean, this is a great place for somebody that may be building a home or renovating a home or just looking to I'm looking at this hallway here filled with lock sets to change the lock on the front door.
Exactly. I think we don't want to miss out on talking to anybody at all. So one of the ideas that we want to kind of get out about our new showroom here is that it's a good place to start your home improvement journey. We are just one small little spoke in the on the overarching wheel that is a home improvement project. We're the supplier and the manufacturer of the product. So there's lots of other people involved. Let's say it's a kitchen renovation. Sure, we do sell cabinetry, but you need an electrician, you need a plumber, you need the guy who's going to install the cabinets, you need the demo crew, you need the floor guy. There's all these other people involved in the project. So we're not trying to give the impression here that we're a kitchen and bath showroom or that we're you come in here, pick out your windows, and we'll be out the next day to install them. We're the supplier and the manufacturer of that product, and we are extremely competitive. Even though we have a really nice showroom and it might give the perception that all the products in here are very expensive, we're actually competitive with any of the big box stores, any of the 84 Lumbers, the Johnson Lumbers, the T.W. Perry's, all of our other fellow millwork providers in the area. We are right on par with those guys.
I have heard that time and time again in personal experience, just in any number of different industries. You think, okay, Amazon has got to be the best price, or that Best Buy, or as you say, Home Depot, or whatever it may be.
Right.
And very often, your local hardware store, your the local appliance store, which there are a few of them, but an electronics store. There's plenty of other places to get it locally at the same or oftentimes lower pricing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people don't really understand that there's this perception out there that whether it's doors or lock hardware, that, it's just a standard one, or it's just something simple. I can go online and order that. Well, it really does take a lot more knowledge to order even a lock set off of the internet than you might think. There's different back sets for where the holes are bored. Each of the manufacturers, we hang our own doors in-house, and we have a certain way that we certain size hinge that we use, certain hinge placement down the edge of the door, a certain bore placement. So if it's a lock set or something, you have to know a lot of different specifications. It's very easy to order the wrong thing. Then you're waiting weeks to send it back. You have to pay the shipping. There, all of a sudden, you lose another $20 or $30 to ship it back, and then
mistakes can be costly. I did that. It's funny you talk about the lock set. I did that on my front door at one time, and I picked up a lock set, and I said, I'll just unscrew it and slide it in and screw it back in, and I'm like, there's parts, there's extra parts, and I'm like, okay, well, screw this. I'm calling a locksmith. Yeah. He came down, and in 10 minutes, he was like, I got to do this, chisel a little bit of this out, and boom, you're set. Yeah. And again, that's just the knowledge that I didn't have. That's not really translated in the packaging. That's whoever wrote the packaging. And again, you're paying for the expertise. You've got somebody to be able to come in there. And could I have done it? Yeah, it probably would have taken me a week and a half. I probably would have been robbed 4 times while it wasn't there. And this guy comes in 10 minutes and has it done. So you've got to figure out what the story is.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can't stand more than someone getting the wrong product. I mean, that's like my worst nightmare is that somebody comes in and they pick something out and either it wasn't what they expected or for some reason it didn't fit. So we really insist on involving the contractor, involving the installer in every sale that we do so that we can meet them on site, go over it, and make sure we get it right the first time. I can't tell you that's not the mentality at any of the other suppliers that we deal with. They just want to make the sale, and then when there's a problem, they end up with a warehouse full of product because there's all these mistakes and mess ups. We go over and above in the beginning to make sure that we meet on site. It takes a little bit more time, but we make sure that we get it right, and that's our mentality, and that's how we go to.
I want to sort of touch base on that. You've mentioned a couple times that you are a supplier and a manufacturer. Okay, I'm looking at a sliding door here right in front of me, the Geldwen.
Yes.
And I know that Geldwen actually, I don't know whether they won a contest or whatever, but they supplied the windows for the Thomas Point Light several years ago, which is very, very cool because they're one of the best weather restraining windows, I think is what they said, with the harsh conditions of the bay and everything else.
Absolutely.
But so obviously, since your name is Rick Miller, or as related to the Zeskins, I mean, you're not Mr. Geldwen,
right? Absolutely.
So you that is a supplier type of a situation for you. But if I were to buy, say, hey, I like that sliding patio door, I want to put that in there. I come in here and you say, yeah, that'd be a great one. It'd work wonderful for your house. Here's the contractor to do it.
Yep.
You don't end there.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I mean,
so you're actually coming to my house, and
one of our either myself, one of our salespeople would meet the contractor out there because even with the quote unquote newer homes here, let's say homes that were built 1960 and newer, even in that age range, there have been a lot of variations in the way products were built, doors were made, different sizes, different configurations. So we need to make sure that we're getting exactly the perfect fit for that new product. And all of our items are customizable, whether it's something that we distribute like Geldwen, who we're an elite dealer for Geldwen, which makes us it's just based on our volume and our service level that we provide to the customers. And just there's many different ways that you can become an elite dealer, but you have to meet certain criteria to do that. So yeah, we distribute certain things like windows and doors for Geldwen because there's a lot of complexity there, and there's a lot of technology, believe it or not, in their whole process. And the wood is pressure treated, guaranteed for a lifetime against rotting. There's aluminum clad exteriors that have to be specially, they're all extruded through heavy duty machinery that, way bigger scale than Zeskins could really handle. But where we come into a manufacturer is we're our own door hanger. So we might buy some slabs from Geldwen. We run them down our equipment. We bore them, route for the hinges, assemble the frame around them, install the trim, cut and install the trim onto the door unit. For exterior doors, we actually make our own slabs in-house. So if there's a design that somebody's come to us with that we can't find from a manufacturer that has a nice warranty and everything, we'll make that in-house out of solid wood, out of mahogany or red Grandis, which is a similar but less expensive product. And we'll do whatever needs to be done to make sure.
Okay. So say I'm a Clemson fan or a Salisbury fan. Right. I want a seagull on my front door, and I want it to be cedar. I don't know, whatever the heck kind of wood. I mean, you can turn around and take a door-sized piece of wood and somehow route that seagull with the Salisbury logo in it. And
well, I think in our manufacturing process, like decorative like etchings and stuff, we have people who can do that. So we do have that capability, but the door itself. Usually what makes a door distinct is going to be more the way it's constructed, the size, the overall width and height of it, the number of panels and the design of the panels and the glass, the grids that are on it, and what configuration the grids are in. So we can do anything, any type of configuration in that respect. And then yes, I work with stained glass and glass etching artists. So we can take our glass that we've made an insulated unit, we can send it to him. He can put the design in it, the logo that you want. We've done several local restaurants in that way. Cantlers, we did the etching on their main entry door, and then we actually built the door that goes right into the main door into the restaurant with the porthole in it. If you know that,
right.
We did that door for them, and we cut out for the new porthole and got it all polished up and looking nice. And we did that. The Park Tavern, we did their entry doors. There's 2 sets of double red, big, tall, 8-foot doors. We did those. We did Donnelly's Dockside, their front door, and then the new exterior doors for their really nice patio out back that they've got that now is all waterfront with the deck that goes out back. So we kind of specialize that custom realm where somebody can't just go and purchase it somewhere. It needs something else that's going to make it special.
And that's pretty much what every homeowner wants is, I can buy a cookie cutter house anywhere, but I need something that sets it apart.
Right, exactly.
And I would say that, I think you talk to every realtor. The front door is like a huge, huge selling point that's the focal point of any buyer that's coming into a home right there. You said you work with contractors. Do you have a stable of contractors that, do lock sets, that do windows, that do trim work, that do...
Absolutely, yeah. So our main customer is the contractor. And the reason that is because, our wholesale operation is really more based on volume. Out of our interior door shop, we're cranking out 50 to 100 interior door units a day. On our exterior side, we're probably putting out 10 to 15 door units a day. So, our margins are low, our pricing is good, but that's because we sell to the people who already know usually what they want, and we like to say we speak fluent millwork, which somebody calls us up, they give us all the specifications they need. It can be as custom or as basic as as anything else on the market, and we'll provide them with a quote and deliver it to their job site for them. And that's really where we end as a wholesale distributor. Our job is to get it ordered, get it produced, and get it done accurately and get it to the job site, and then and then of course we stand behind all of our products, right. Or the manufacturers we work with all have their own warranties that we help navigate that if there's ever a problem, which that's pretty rare.
You basically deliver straight to the job site then.
Absolutely.
I imagine if somebody wanted a door, you could probably arrange to have it at a store or something like that to do. But typically, these are manufactured and warehoused and stored up in Baltimore.
Yes, yeah, we have about 20,000 square feet total up in Baltimore.
And that's warehouse space.
There's about 10,000 in warehouse space and about 7,000 in shop space, and then about 3,000 in office and retail and showroom. So.
Okay, and that would include that cool little hardware store?
It does, yeah, which is very small. So it's just a little row home. So
that's amazing that it's you've been able to sort of merge the old with the new and still retain it. I think that's just absolutely fascinating there. There was something else that I had that it just went right out.
Well, you were asking about the stable of contractors, and yes, that's why we said we were out here on the front of Ritchie Highway in this great space that you know very well yourself, that being out on Ritchie Highway like this really gets you a lot of attention. And so we want homeowners to begin their home improvement journey here. And yes, we do have specific contractors that we've singled out that have done a great job in this area. They're really well known and they have great reputations. And each one of them has a different level of project that they're willing to get into. So some contractors are really good at just installing a front door, a couple windows. That's all they want to do. They have the crew that is knowledgeable on that. They may not be ready to do an addition. They also may be ready to do an addition, but they have their niche and they stick with it. And then we've identified another contractor who says, well, you know what? I don't really feel comfortable with just doing one front door or one window. I like to have about a $50,000 project or something, a small addition, a deck, or an entire house of windows that is going to need interior trim and exterior trim. That's where my sweet spot is. So
right.
We certainly walk people through the showroom. get them excited about product, because it really is exciting looking at all the different options here. And make sure we explain that we're just one small little part in the whole picture of the renovation or the project that they're doing, and then we meet out on site with the contractor and make sure things are measured up correctly, and we get it right the first time.
Get it right. What is it? Measure twice, cut once.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I know that I've seen your truck, and I guess that's one of your delivery trucks that would go out to the job sites and whatnot. That's all wrapped up with the, and I have a sneaking suspicion that was done by our local friend Joe Barson, who
absolutely was,
because his stuff is very unique to look at. But that's a delivery truck folks may see wandering around. Delivery?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's two of them, and so we're doing Maryland themes. And Joe did an amazing job with both of the trucks. So we've the two that he's done the wrap design for. The first one was we got in 2013, and for that one we did a Baltimore City theme. So we tried to,
because you weren't here in Arnold.
Because we weren't here in Arnold, exactly. So that one has like a vignette of Baltimore looking out across the harbor. You get a little bit of Federal Hill all the way across to the aquarium and a little bit of the power plant there. So I love that one. It turned out amazing. And then the second one that Joe did for us, that was actually the truck that we knew would be traveling out into Anne Arundel County and over to the Eastern Shore, Kent Island area. So that one we did a Bay Bridge theme with the Blue Angels flying over and just kind of getting that view of Annapolis looking across the bay from kind of Kent Island and getting the Bay Bridge in there. And so,
well, interesting. Do the two trucks then, do they signify like your market area?
They do.
Baltimore, Anne Arundel, and I'll say the near Eastern Shore, Queen Anne's County.
I mean, you'll see them in other places, but yes, they. I mean, we go to D.C., we go to Northern Virginia, we go north of Baltimore, we go west, probably to about Frederick or so would be the furthest we go, and that depends on, we're kind of expanding our area a little bit. We're interested in getting involved in almost any project out there, but it has to make sense for us.
Yeah, well, as it does for anything.
Yeah.
Well, what are the expansions? Obviously, you've expanded out of Baltimore down into Arnold. Do you have any plans for expansions down in the future, or nothing on the books yet? Or
no, there's definitely plans. I mean, I learned when I first came in and we really started to grow, and you have to be looking ahead, at least in a business the size of ours, which we're still a very small business, believe it or not. But you have to be looking ahead at least 5 years, and I'm always doing that. I mean, I have a certain period of time that each week that I have to spend on figuring out where is Zeskind's going to be in 5 years? Where are we going to be in 10 years? I mean, I've got at least 20 more years here with Zeskind. So I have to be planning out that far and making sure that I'm steering us in the right direction. And I have an incredible team of people that help me. My mom and dad are still partially involved, although I know they really want to get a little bit more into their retirement. And I took the company over full time last March. I purchased the business from them, so that's officially when I became full owner. And I know now everything's on my shoulders. I've got to be looking really far out, making sure we have each of our, we have sales, operations, and then the kind of back end, the accounting.
How many employees do you have?
Right now, we're right around 25 now.
Wow, okay.
So
you're large and lean and mean, and it doesn't sound like you're overstaffed or you're about right where you need to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard finding that sweet spot of having the right amount of people, being able to take in the fluxes that happen throughout the year in business and not underserving the customer and making sure things keep running smoothly. So that's always a challenge. I think in any business that's always a challenge. But
what's your main product? I mean, you've got three. You've got doors, windows, and millwork. I mean, is one outpace the other?
Yeah. Well, I mean, by far, my personal favorite is the doors, and I think if there was anything that we did best, it's interior and exterior doors. By far, I wouldn't say it's the biggest dollar amount of our business, but it is what we're the best at. So
that would be something that the takeaway that what is Zeskind's known for?
Yeah. I would say that the fact that we're our own door hanger for both interior and exterior doors. We manufacture our own door slabs. We do make windows when it comes to an historic project that needs to have an exact duplication. We can make double hungs, casements, that kind of thing in-house. It tends to be very pricey, and it's really only for the situation where it has to be an exact duplication.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and maybe a weight and chain window, that kind of thing. We're comfortable with that. But when it comes to volume, it's really going to be the windows are really the big volume item for us.
Well, who all do you represent? I mean, you said you've gone over a little bit of the manufacturing that you can make. You can make a door.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously, you represent JELD-WEN.
Yeah, we cover most of the major manufacturers in doors. We have access to. So that's Therma-Tru, Masonite, Simpson, JELD-WEN, of course. There's many other there's other smaller manufacturers that those several that I just mentioned cover 99% of what anybody needs, and then the reason that we have our own custom shop is to cover that other 1 or 2% that
you come up with.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great location to come in and start your thinking.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ideas. I keep looking at there. I am admiring the tin ceiling that's over the conference room that we're talking to right now, and I didn't realize that they had made drop ceiling inserts, for lack of a better word. I'm sure there's probably a business term for that, but that looks like the old tin ceiling that you see in some of the bars in downtown Annapolis. That is like the real old tin.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I did that was because in our historic hardware store up there, it's the exact same design of the tin. So we wanted to bring kind of some of the feel of that store down here to Arnold, and I think we did a pretty good job. Well, the ceiling's impressive; it's a conversation piece, and then we want the focus to then be on the doors and the windows and everything. So
it is. Well, I will say that if you are looking at remodeling a home, if you are looking at a major home improvement, or perhaps building a custom home or a new home, take a swing on up to Arnold and just take a walk through the showroom. It's not very big. Get some ideas. Meet the team that's here. They're not going to be the people that are doing it all for you, as Rick said. He said it's just one cog in the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. That's right. There's a lot of people in a project involved, and
just see what the options are. And that's the one thing that I do love is I don't know what I don't know. And when you come into a showroom such as this, you can sit there and say, "Oh wow, the lever door handle would really make a difference in that room as opposed to a knob."
Yep. Absolutely, and we can help. We help. That's the thing. The building products marketplace is very. It's just option laden. It's a factor of what's happened in the industry where people wanted more options, more colors, more lock designs, more grid designs in their windows. They wanted to see every option possible, and that's really what it exists now. It's hard to navigate and hard to understand the price levels of each different product. That's what we're here for. We're helped to make sure that we can hit a budget that's required. Because we have all there's products that look exactly the same and they're on totally different budget levels because they're made differently, and we educate you on that, and we help you make that decision for your project. Make sure you come in on budget. So.
Well, and that's a really important part too. You've got a budget. Obviously, drives a project. I think that's probably the primary driver.
Usually, sometimes they're like depends.
You've got the guy with the big wallet,
and heavy it is. Or, we love working with the Annapolis Design District. We're a proud member of them. We support them as much as we possibly can. We've hosted events here at the showroom for them, and working with a lot of the designers. And a lot of times, that's what drives it. The people say, my designer. He or she said, we want this in the house, and it doesn't matter what it costs. It has to be this. It has to be this design. It has to be this color. It has to be this finish, this species of wood, and we can do it. So sometimes that's the driver.
Rick Miller, thank you very much. Congratulations on almost 100 years of Zeskind's hardware.
Thank you so much. I'll promise we'll throw a big party for the 100 years.
And yet, you've got 20. But about how many more years to plan?
Another 5 years.
5 years.
4.5 or so. Yeah.
How soon till your kids are coming in here? Are they little still?
Oh yeah, 7 and 9. So I hope maybe I don't know, 8 to 10 years we'll get them involved. We'll see if they're. I think they'll be into it. I don't know. I think just
there you go. You throw that 100-year party and then
exactly
retire out. And turn it over
no, I'm in 20 more years definitely. Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
fantastic. If you've got a home improvement project that you're looking to get some ideas, come on up 1450 Ritchie Highway. It's in the Arnold Station Shopping Center. It's next to the Verizon store. Faces right on Ritchie Highway. Looks across the street to the Safeway. Rick Miller and his team will be more than happy to show you what they've got, what's possible, and find the people that are going to be able to put it all together for you where you're going to be happy. I mean, I love the fact that you're out on the job making sure that it's and it's purely selfish on your part, as I don't want to take this stuff back.
Yeah.
But I think that just really speaks to a level of customer service that you don't see too much anymore. That it's, you take pride in your work, the people that you represent vis-a-vis the manufacturers. You've got confidence in your contractors. Mm-hmm. You want to come out there and make sure that it's all done and done right the first time, and the homeowner walks away with a big smile on their face.
Absolutely. That's the end goal. That's the end goal.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Rick.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this special podcast for Ion Annapolis. Please be sure to visit ionannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinions. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Ion Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you your local news direct to your phone or tablet every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Subscribe on iTunes or Google Play.